Hi guys, my name is Chelsea, your millennial mentor, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the aPHR exam. I get so many questions about the aPHR exam because on my LinkedIn page I have aPHR letters behind my name, and so people are always inboxing me about what that is, or people who know what the exam is and they just have no idea how the test is structured or anything, and they always ask me questions about it and how I studied for it. So today I'm going to be doing a quick video on what the exam is about and what I did to prepare for the exam. So first, I did study for my exam during COVID. I figured that was the least I could do during COVID. I had nothing but time on my hands, just like many of you. So I took advantage of that time. It's kind of crazy how it all happened, but we'll get into that later on in the video. So first, what I wanted to say, or I wanted to talk about how the exam is structured. So the exam is structured into 5 parts, and then, excuse me, I'll be looking at my notes just a little bit just to make sure I don't forget anything. So the exam is in 5 parts. There is an HR operations section, a recruitment and selection section, employee relations, human resource development and retention, and health and safety. And the thing about this test is each question isn't 1 point or 2 point or 3 points. It is based on, each section has a percentage weight. So the biggest weighted section is the HR operations section. So I made sure to make sure that I was retaining all the information, of course. But my biggest thing when I was studying was to make sure I had my HR operations down, because that counted for more than half of the test. So 38% is HR operations, 16% is employee relations, 15% is recruitment and selection, 12% is human resource development, and then 5% is health and safety, which was fairly easy on the exam as well. So going through those different sections, I just made sure that when I was studying that I made sure to focus a lot of my attention on the HR operations and make sure I had that part down, and also make sure that I was studying the other sections as well. So the exam is 2 hours and 15 minutes. I took my exam at home during COVID. So that's one great thing that did happen. I did not have to go to a testing center. So I took my exam at home. It was late at night, actually. I think I took my test at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And they had proctors late at night. I don't know. I'm a night owl. I love being up at night. I thrive in the nighttime. So I figured while my house was sleeping, I would take my exam. So I took my exam. It did take the 2 hours and 15 minutes. You have to do a couple of pre-test questions just to make sure everything works. And so they want to make sure your camera works. There's nothing on your desk. There's nothing behind you. There's nothing in front of you. So the proctor, the person who is watching you take the exam, they'll have you take pictures of your surroundings and make sure that your desk is clutter-free and that you're not cheating or anything. So that did take some time on the exam, but it was a fairly lengthy exam, so just be prepared for that, and you'll want to take your time on the exam as well. I got lucky. So during COVID, the entrance fee was waived. So that fee was $100 to register for the exam. There we go, the registration fee. The registration fee was $100 and the exam was $300. But during COVID, I guess since there was a decrease in people signing up for any of the exams, the aPHR through HRCI, there was a decrease in people signing up. So at that time, they waived fees, registration fees, if you paid for your exam. So $300 was still a lot to me, but I'm like, hey, it's not going to get any better than this. You usually don't hear about them waiving those fees or giving any type of discount. So I went for it. I did it. So I only had to pay $300 for my exam in total, but if you are signing up today, there is a $100 registration fee and the exam is $300. Now, moving on to how I studied. So it's kind of crazy how this happened. COVID happened in March of 2020. And at that time, I was about to take a prep course. It was actually a aPHR course. But one of my teachers through my community college, she was teaching it and she told me to go ahead and take it. It would not necessarily be the same information, but it would give me a good inside look. And that if I had any questions, then I could ask her about it. So COVID happened and that course was canceled. So now I'm freaking out because I'm like, I don't know how to study for this exam. I've never taken an exam like this before. What do I do? I do what anybody else does. I buckled down. I doubled down. So I went online and found a book, and I bought my book off Amazon, just like everything I buy is on Amazon. And I bought this book. This book was $30. I'm going to try and, or I'm not going to try, I'm going to link it. I'm going to link it down below so you guys can go on Amazon and take a look at the book yourself and see if this is something that you would like. But it is the all-in-one aPHR exam guide. So this is the book that I had. I really liked the book. What I liked about it the most was that it broke it down into the test sections. So there's an HR operations section, there's a recruitment section, there was a health and safety section, and then at the end of every section there was exam questions. So I did like that. Also, at the beginning of the book, it starts out with all of the laws and regulations. And so, boy, I wonder how the employee lawyers do this, because these laws were in depth. But what I did, hopefully you guys can see, I tried highlighting and writing key points on the side. So that really helped me when I was studying. So I would read the laws and I would write little things out to the side. I would read about some of the HR operations and I would write it out to the side. Like now they have a EEO HR policy. So I would write out to the side, you know, anti-discrimination. This law happened at this day, just to give myself another way of studying and remembering, because you know what they say, when you write things down you remember them a little bit better.
You smart. You very smart.
So I did do my best to go through this whole book, and honestly I can say I did. I'm not the best at going through books fully, but I really wanted to pass this exam, and I really wanted to pass it on the first time. And I had nothing but time during COVID, so I made sure to go through this book as thoroughly as I possibly could. In addition to this book, my teacher, my HR teacher, who ended up turning into like a great mentor and still someone I talk to this day, I told her I wanted to go for the exam. I'm like, man, you know, this happened at such a crazy time. I'm really, really trying to get in HR, because at this time, you guys, I had been looking for a job in HR for a year. I had been looking for a year before COVID even happened, and then COVID happened. And I'm like, well, they weren't hiring me before, you know, why would they hire me now? And I'm like, I need to do something to get my credibility up, you know, have a little credit. So she told me that she would mentor me during COVID. So she did something great for me, and I was able to touch base with her. She was still holding like one-on-ones and group sessions and things during COVID. So she gave me that information, and I was able to do one-on-one or group sessions with her pertaining to the exam. So it was really great. I'm going to link her information down below. Her name is Christy. She is the CEO of HR Solid Foundations, and I'm going to link her, either her LinkedIn or her website, maybe both, down below, so you guys can contact her if y'all have any questions about any of the exams. Honestly, if it's PHR, SHRM, aPHR, you want to be a global HR manager, if you have any questions, or if you want to be mentored or anything, she is a wealth of knowledge. And so I'm going to link her information down below. And so if you guys want to reach out to her just to ask her any questions or ask her about her courses or what she can offer you personally, just make sure you reach out to her and see how she can help your journey. So she was great. So in addition to having my book, I had my professor. She picked my brain, or I picked her brain. We did that for a couple of months, and I can say from when I took my exam. I took my exam August of 2021. So I took my exam August 2021. So from March to August, 5 months. Yeah, so about 5 months. I studied for 5 months. And I told myself, this is the most important thing, if I can share anything. Don't wait too long and psych yourself out to take the test, but don't take the test unless you're ready. I knew I was studying for this exam. I knew that I wanted to take it. I didn't want to wait too long, but some people are like, well, I'm going to study for a month or 2 months, and I'm just going to take the exam. You know, whatever happens, happens. Be ready. Prepare yourself as much as possible before you go and spend money on this exam, because you have to pay for this exam again if you fail it. So I studied for 5 months, and I had a little bit of an HR background. I hadn't held any HR roles previously, but I had roles that had HR responsibilities. So not a lot of it, but some of the information I was already accustomed to. So in addition to being able to bring my background into it and then studying the book and having my one-on-ones or group sessions with Christy, the information was able to be retained a little bit better. The thing about the aPHR course, what makes it different, it is fairly new. It is a knowledge-based test. It doesn't get into a lot of scenarios, or how can I say this? It doesn't do a lot of situational based questions. It wants to know if you have the basic HR information. So it is a knowledge based exam. So if you are studying your book, you're studying your cards or what have you, you should be okay. Another thing that I did to study for this exam was Quizlet. I live and I breathe and I will die by Quizlet. I love Quizlet. I used it in college. I'm using it now. I used it for my exam, and I'm still in college now. I'm getting my master's in HR right now, and Quizlet, it helps me. Those flashcards, online flashcards, lifesaver, game changer. Get Quizlet. Just try it out. See if you like it. You can do it on a month-to-month basis, but Quizlet, which was really cool, when I finally signed up for the test, because the test is fairly new, there were people who already put this book in Quizlet form. So these laws, when I was going through Quizlet, you know, it was law for law. It would go from the EEO law to the ADA law to the railroad law. Like, it would go law by law. And then I get to the HR operations section, and the information that was in there was in Quizlet, card by card. And that helped me so much. Yes, it is a little bit of an extra fee, but it was worth it to me. I like flashcards. I work well with flashcards. That's just something that helps me study and retain information. So Quizlet, to me, awesome. And also the last thing that I did to study for my exam was to create a study schedule. I told myself I had to study an hour a day during the week. I could have my weekends. And if I chose to study on the weekend, that was on my own accord. I'm like, an hour a day. You can commit 5 hours a week to yourself. Even if I was over my friend's house, because I stayed with my best friends mostly through COVID. And we had our hour shutdown time. We all had things we were working on during COVID. We did take that time to really grow ourselves. So we took that time and we shut it down. But whether it was from 12 to 1, 1 to 2 at night, you know, we were in timeout in our respective corners, studying or working on things that we needed to work on. So my study schedule was an hour a day. It didn't really matter when I got it done, because obviously we're sitting at home. I'm not going to create a schedule. It's not like I have to go to work or anything. An hour a day. And that's what I did. And even if that hour was just looking at flashcards that I had already looked at, okay. I told myself that that was what I was going to do, and that is what I did. And it kept my weekends free. So create a study schedule, live, breathe, and die by that schedule, because you want to make sure you are retaining the information. Because not only when I was moving on to new information, I was studying that, I was trying to double down and reread some of the old information. Not old information, but some of the information I had already retained. So it's not about just learning one section and then moving on. You need to learn that section, move on, and then incorporate the sections together. So I had to make sure that I was taking the time out to properly study for this exam. Because again, I wanted to pass it on the first try. I didn't want to take it again. I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money again. I would have if that would have been my circumstance, but it wasn't. Thank God. And then lastly, the last thing I can say to do for the exam is to just believe in yourself. I was going through a lot during COVID. I mean, we lost our jobs, you know, we were thinking about our families, you know, our way of life had completely changed. And so to me, to spend the money, to study, to double down on myself was really important. And I had to believe in myself. There was no way I was going into this exam or going into this study schedule like, well, I hope we get it done. I hope we pass. I hope we make it. I was going to make it. I was going to pass. I believed in myself, you know. So even if you have to print an aPHR certificate and write your name on it and put it on the wall, you know, do that and look at it every day. It's just a subtle reminder of what is to come. So I always love to manifest, but in order to manifest, you have to put forth action. So for me, I had to believe in myself. I knew I was going to pass this exam one way or another, but that is the most important thing. People go into these big certifications just not believing in themselves, thinking, hopefully I do well. Maybe I'll do well. I don't go into situations like that. I want to be the best. I want to come out on top. I want to be the winner. So that's how I went into the situation, as humbly as I possibly could, but that is what I did. It just worked out for me. So I hope this video was informational. I hope that you guys took away something important from the video, or hopefully it cleared up some of the issues or things that you guys are thinking about in regards to the exam. Hopefully you guys are taking the exam or studying for the exam, but just leave any comments below if y'all have any questions. I'll make sure to get back to all of you guys, and then I will link Christy's information and link the book information down below. And if you guys have any questions, like I said, just reach out. So this is Chelsea, your millennial mentor, and I'm signing out.